What if I told you that during the next economic collapse, your gold won't save you, but a pack of cigarettes and 3 cheap lighters could be worth more than a month's salary? By the conclusion of this video, you'll comprehend why a $1,000 investment in the appropriate practical goods and skills will preserve your family when $10,000 in gold bullion won't. Allow me to demonstrate the pattern, because this has occurred previously, multiple times across multiple countries, and the data communicates the identical story every single time. Number 3. The Great Depression proved land and skills trump everything. Farmers during the Great Depression struggled. Crop prices fell to devastating lows. Some burned corn as fuel because it was cheaper than coal. But farmers with productive land possessed an irreplaceable advantage. They could produce their own food. Documented experiences from rural Iowa show farm families raised large gardens with vegetables, canned fruit from orchards, produced milk and cream from dairy cattle, supplied themselves with meat and eggs from chickens. They bought flour and sugar in 50-pound sacks and baked their own bread. Farm wives made clothing from cloth cut from flour and feed sacks. Zero cash income, survived anyway. Urban families. Destitute. In Dubuque, Iowa, 2,200 workers lost their jobs between 1927 and 1934. Those workers, even if they'd maintained their wages, which dropped 30% nominally, faced hunger because they had no productive capacity. One grandfather commenting on my last video said it perfectly. My grandfather survived the Great Depression because he had a small 4-acre farm, carpentry, and painting skills. Not gold, not savings, land and skills. Here's the kicker. Victory gardens during World War II proved this principle at scale. More than 20 million gardens were planted in 1943. They produced 10 billion pounds of food. 40% of the entire U.S. vegetable supply came from these gardens, and 2/3 were in towns, cities, and suburban areas. By 1944, more than half of Americans growing gardens reported doing so out of economic need, not patriotic motivation. The mechanism is mathematical. Farmland produces income, crops, rental value, direct food, regardless of economic conditions. The academic data shows farmland increased 17% during the 2008 to 2009 financial crisis, while the S&P 500 declined 46%. Between 2002 and 2009, the S&P 500 posted negative returns in 28 different quarters. In 26 of those 28 quarters when stocks declined, farmland posted positive returns. Not speculation. Insurance. Number 4. Skills became survival capital, and the list is specific. The Depression-era survival strategies read like a catalogue of practical production. People caught and sold fish, made homemade fudge, grew and sold berries, started lunch wagons, shoveled snow, made and sold hand-woven baskets, made and sold quilts, mended and altered clothes, washed windows, rendered lard, butchered animals, preserved food by canning. What do you notice? Every item involves creating or processing something of tangible value: food, clothing, shelter-related services. The skills that commanded highest value were those addressing fundamental human needs: food production and preservation, clothing production and repair, shelter improvement, healthcare, and mechanical repair. A person who could slaughter an animal, preserve meat through smoking, or can vegetables possessed income-generating skills no economic collapse could eliminate. Doctors, nurses, dentists remained employed throughout the Depression. People found ways to compensate them even when currency was unreliable, trading goods and services for medical care. Here's what gold critics miss. A skilled carpenter represents a valuable asset that cannot be stored in a vault. The skill exists in the person and can be deployed whenever needed. Gold sits in a safe producing nothing. Number 5. Selko's testimony reveals what actually traded in total collapse. When currency became worthless, certain items emerged as most valuable. Ammunition ranked highest because people needed it for hunting and self-defense, but Selko warned against trading it freely. Whatever you sell to another person in the way of a weapon may be used on you by that person the next day. Security considerations dominate all trading decisions in real collapse. Hygiene items held remarkable value. Bleach could purify hundreds of gallons of water, worth far more than its cost suggested. Bars of soap, toothpaste, feminine hygiene products commanded high prices. A bar of soap that cost 50 cents before the war traded for a dozen eggs during the siege. Medicine held extremely high value. Antibiotics, pain relievers, first aid supplies. Many people died from lack of access to basic medications.